truly not changing what the document says. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rowe. Chris, I guess she's saying that we are changing to 100-year flood, and your opinion is we're not.
That's correct. We've changed some of the wording because the ordinance, it previously referred to a base flood elevation. There was a definition of the base flood. That is confusing to people because a base flood elevation is actually a term of art when you're dealing with flood insurance, when you're dealing with FEMA. So we changed the ordinance to be consistent with the terms of art that are used in floodplain management. And the ordinance itself refers to the 500-year 500-year floodplain elevation as the design point and the design requirement for house construction or any kind of construction in the floodplain. So the functional requirements remain the same.
Okay, I guess
it can be confusing, I understand.
Commissioner Harmon and Ms. Rowe say the wording. Can we change the wording to what they say, or does that change what you're doing?
Functionally, we're trying to clean it up so that people, we deal with a lot of folks who have questions about flood insurance. On a day-to-day basis, we get dozens of calls every week about flood insurance. We thought it'd be helpful in terms of, from a customer service perspective, to be using the same terms in Knox County regulations that they're seeing when they're dealing with flood insurance, when they're dealing with FEMA forms and things like that. As far as functionality, they're absolutely the same. It's really, I'd say it's this board's discretion. We do need to reference the 2007 flood maps.
Okay, but you are the professional in Knox County, I guess. Are you the professional in Knox County?
Yes, sir. My recommendation would be to correct the nomenclature.
All right. Commissioner Harmon.
Do you agree or disagree that we're not as strict as the city flood?
In the flood damage prevention,
Right.
This is exactly the same. Functionally, this is exactly the same ordinance.
Commissioner Lutho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since this is an ordinance on first reading and we'll have to approve it on a second reading, I suggest we go ahead and approve this, and if there are some differences that we can maybe clear up by next month, if our engineers could get together with Ms. Rowe and some other citizens that, to make sure that we're all on the same page, I think we should do that.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Mark Harmon, the only no. Okay, we're on public. Motion passes. We're on public forum. Jenny, I'm going to try not to butcher that last name. Poveda. If you'll come on down to the podium. You'll give your name and address for the record, please. It's 444. You have up to 5 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Jenny Poveda, and I'm the Adrian Burnett PTSO president. I live at 4229 Spar Drive in Knoxville. Permission to have my son pass out the letter that our PTSO has written for me.
Just have him come on up.
I'd like to start with a brief history about Adrian Burnett, because I know we have lots of new faces that may not be familiar with our school and its history. In 1975, Knox County Schools built 3 temporary structures out of wood to ease overcrowding. That would be Cedar Bluff, Adrian Burnett, and New Hopewell. 32 years later, we're still battling overcrowding in the Knox County school system. In 1992, Adrian Burnett began a quest for a new school, and part of the problem we're having, ironically, is what we're discussing today, is term limits and people going in and out of office. Several people that we have spoken to, Mary Lou Horner, Dr. Lindsay, Dr. Sharon Roberts, Diane Dozier, a lot of these people are no longer in office, so we start to make headway, no longer there, so we wanted to come before the entire county commission to make you aware of our situation. In 2005, we became a SACS accredited school, and they said the largest obstacle that we have is our facility and the limitations thereof. According to the Knoxville Realtor MLS system for the past 6 years, the number of closed new construction single-family housing units in Halls and Gibbs has surpassed that of the Farragut and Hardin Valley areas. Adrian Burnett, if we did get a new school, would ease the overcrowding that the new Gibbs school will inevitably be faced with. Knox County already owns the land that Adrian Burnett and our sister temporary school, New Hopewell, will be constructed on. By building simultaneously, Knox County not only saves money by leveraging the cost of the building supplies, but you can use a similar design. Taxpayers will undoubtedly be happy to hear that 1,200 students in 4 elementary schools in 2 school zones will be in a safer environment. The cost of maintaining inadequate aging buildings would also be eliminated. In 1992, we were put on the list of schools to be replaced within 5 years. That would have put in 1997 we should have had a new school. Our son Gregory was born in 1997. 10 years later, we're still in a facility that was built for 15 years to hold 500 students, and we now have 655 students. I'd like to share a couple of my experiences with this school. On the 5th bullet point on the 2nd page, notice that the walls are separating from the ceiling. A couple of years ago, we had a 1st grade classroom that had a couple of wasps come into the building. We're not talking about the typical situation where all the kids get to go outside for a few minutes and enjoy a brief recess. We're talking 150 wasps had got in that crack and could potentially harm those children. The cost of litigation, had one child allergic to bees been stung, would far surpass what it would take to construct a new school. I went to school last year. I had lunch with my son Gabriel. All of the children that were in the portable buildings because of the windstorm were brought into the main building. That building is meant for 500 students. We now have 655 students. If in the event when those children are brought in and we had a fire, do you realistically think that all 655 of those precious faces could make it out of there safely? If children did what they were supposed to do, Allstate wouldn't spend thousands of dollars producing a video that says, "Don't hide, go outside." In closing, Adrian Burnett understands the budget limitations, and we would like to move from being a part of the problem by having costly repairs each year that drain what little funds you do have to build school to being a part of the solution. We'd like to know what we can do to ensure that before you leave office, that we will have a new safe school that doesn't limit the academic achievement of our students. Thank you.
You want to introduce your guest? I know you had the principal with you, and have him stand up maybe.
We've got Phyllis Warner.
Speak into the microphone, because
I'm sorry. We have our principal, Mrs. Dugan. We have, you want to introduce Phyllis Warner and Sherry York that are in our workroom, which is crowded, and you have to like walk sideways. I've been there, and they have to share 2 bathrooms for 32 teachers. That's all we have for the adults. Any visitors, all of our work staff have to use 2 restrooms.
thank you all for coming out this afternoon, and certainly we're going to continue to push for a new school for Adrian Burnett. Certainly if you go to Adrian Burnett and then you go look at the new Gibbs School up in the 8th District, Commissioner Ballard and Commissioner Huddleston, you see how very nice it is, and a big, nice gym, and certainly we just don't have that at Adrian Burnett, but certainly we've got to get to work and make sure we get these things done. So,
Thank you for your time.
Okay, we have Heather Roach. Is Heather Roach here? What about Jim Golden? Okay, well, this concludes our agenda. We're ready to go into zonings. Do you all want to take a 5-minute
Yes. Make it
recess for 5 minutes?
at least 10 minutes.